Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for coming into our presentation today. I'm Joe and this is my team. First off, I want to start off with a question for you all. When you picture Hawaii, what do you see? If you're like me, you probably see something like this. Beautiful beaches, reefs, and wildlife. However, the sad reality is that there's a lot of pollution that affects native life there. And personally, I witnessed this as I spent my whole childhood living by the water. Every day after school, I would go to beaches to swim, but the beaches were always littered with trash. And I want to do something with that. And that's why I'm here today.
So we wanted to know what we could do about this problem. So we talked with a lot of companies and stakeholder organizations. And one of the cleanup groups in particular was especially helpful in telling us about a particular cleanup effort they undertook on the island of Kaho'olaui. It's an uninhabited island where the beaches aren't maintained. And what they found there was large ghost nets, over 1,000 pounds each, littered on the shore. Ocean currents bring pollution from all over the world onto the beaches of Hawaii and harms the native life there.
So, what are ghost fishing nets? Ghost fishing nets are abandoned fishing nets that have been discarded into the ocean. Ghost fishing nets blend into their surroundings, which make them difficult to retrieve. They harm our coral reefs and the natural ecosystems that live within the ocean, and they further the ongoing plastic epidemic in the oceans. They block sunlight from corals, which causes them to break and exposes them to disease. They also capture hundreds of animals. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is made up of 46% is made up of discarded fishing gear. About 1 million tons of ghost fishing net equipment are abandoned in the ocean each year, according to WWF. Most of this trash from the garbage patch washes up onto Hawaii shores due to ocean currents. Our team chose Hawaii because it contains approximately 70% of all tropical shallow water coral reef habitats in the United States, and it's home to 7,000 marine species, and 25% of these species are only found in Hawaii.
So after finding out about all of this, we wanted to know how we could help. And so what these organizations told us is that when they're looking for nets, searching in the open ocean is impractical because it's so large and it must be done manually. They mostly have to rely on fishermen and tourist reportings, but these are really unreliable because they can't give an accurate GPS location and the nets often drift away. As a result, these organizations often can't find the nets that are reported, or they have to either underestimate or overestimate the amount of resources they need to extract the nets, meaning they either have to come back or waste time and energy. As a result, they focus mostly on coast cleanups. However, coral reefs are the most sensitive areas that need our help the most. So what can we do about that? Well, we asked the same question. So we talked with a lot of cleanup groups and technology groups that operate in the ocean and help with the pollution cleanup. And what they told us is that they currently have some limited technology helping them, like cameras pointed at the shores, beaches, and open ocean to monitor for trash. However, in times of bad weather or in times of good weather, when there's surface reflections on the water, these cameras can't see. Also, there's salt in the air in Hawaii, meaning that after a while, the salt corrodes the metal in the cameras and destroys them. So our technology would help predicting when and where these nets could be found without any of these limitations. Our plan is to use artificial intelligence algorithms to identify ghost nets in shallow reefs. We then plan to install that algorithm onto existing autonomous underwater vehicles for a fully autonomous and intelligent solution. As part of our use process looking forward, first off, we want to focus on research and then creating and testing the algorithm. After that, we want to integrate that with an autonomous underwater vehicle and then release it into the field to mark ghost nets before having those nets removed by volunteer organizations. To elaborate a little bit more on that removal process, after we identify the nets, we're going to mark them with a GPS-enabled buoy that will follow the nets wherever they go. After that, we'll share the information with our volunteer organization partners that already have the existing infrastructure and experience needed to find these gear and extract them from the oceans.
So how are we going to achieve that? We are going to use edge and corner detection to train our machine learning algorithm. And here's one example. So we first apply the edge detection to find the edges. And then we want to find the vertically and horizontally edges. Second, we want to apply the corner detection to find all the important corners. And then we're going to apply all of those to a heat map to figure out what's the shape of the object to identify the nets. Then all of these nets will be sent and location will be sent to the volunteer organizations. For the training algorithm, we have most data set for training, and then we're gonna have set validation to validate our training process. Lastly, we're gonna test our result.
So what will happen to the ghost fishing nets after our technology has located them and the volunteer organizations have retrieved them? One option is that after the fishing nets have been collected, they can be disposed of at certain places and then transported to be burned in to create energy. Although our technology is a great solution to the existing ghost fishing nets, we also recognize that the bigger issue is the lack of legislation preventing the problem. That's why our team has reached out to government agencies such as NOAA and have plans of collaborating with them as they would benefit from our technology.
So now I want to take a moment to talk about our team. We come from diverse backgrounds with unique skill sets that will bring our vision to life. I'm Joe. I'm the founder of this project. I have the computer vision and machine learning domain knowledge. I also have the entrepreneurship experience through classes, projects, and actual products.
Hi, I'm Adam. I am an environmental studies major. I'm specializing in GIS, so I can help with mapping and analyzing GPS data. I also have experience as a startup co-founder.
This is Rim. She's our business advisor. She's a business and marketing major, and she's specializing in business outreach, operations, and communications and consumers behavior. My name's Flora. I'm the environmental science and policy advisor. I'm double majoring in earth and environmental science as well as environmental studies. So that gives me insight into both the natural science and social science aspects of the problem. I'm also specializing in environmental policy, so I have knowledge on that and will work on getting contracts with government agencies.
Thank you so much, and we're open to Q&A right now.
Woohoo! Finished in time and everything. Okay. Panel, feel free to kind of jump in with questions if you have them.
I have a question I can start. Hi. Yeah. Great, very strong presentation overall. So thank you. So I had a question around, so it sounds like the current method is using like these giant nets, and your proposed technology, my understanding would be, it would be much more expensive. So can you talk a little bit about like who exactly is your, and like your paying customer, like who would purchase this? And why do you think that they would do that? Like have that, you know, what would cause them to switch their behavior to something more expensive?
Yeah, so I can talk a bit about that if you guys have anything to add on after that. So we talked to some volunteer organizations. We talked to the, I think especially Deep Tracker. They create like underwater robots, and then they said most of their customers, they are volunteer organizations who's doing like the cleanups besides like government agencies. And then another one would be NOAA. We could partner with government because they do spend a lot of money and effort into cleaning the ocean. So that's our two main groups.
Yeah, and then the current way that they're finding and removing these, they have to send huge crews out with boats. As you can see in some of the pictures, they have a lot of people with scuba gear trying to remove the nets from the environments. So it is an expensive process as it is, and it requires a lot of manual labor. And finding these nets is really hard. So with our technology, they're going to be saving a lot of time and energy, not having to look for these nets. So they are going to be, you know, gaining something. They're going to be saving a lot of time.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, this is a great presentation. I was just following on the comment about the difficulty in finding these nets and also the kind of cost to these organizations when either they can find the net or they don't find the net. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit more? You said it's difficult to find, and then the level of what is the cost to them are they often going out into the ocean and not finding the nets? Or is it that they just don't know where the nets are? Trying to understand a bit more the scope of the problem here.
So anything to add on after me? But so we talked to those organizations. So what we see right now is that they often got reports from other people. They say, oh, pointing at that side of beaches, say, oh, somewhere, you know, in there in the middle of like that part of the ocean. So they usually send out because they have to send up the boat. There's a few organizations share a few boats. That's how they lower down the cost. So they will send out, let's say, 3 people because they think they need 3 people to remove the fishing nets, and they need a small size boat. But actually, it turned out like after spend 2 hours looking for the nets, it could turn out that, oh, this is much bigger. We need more people. They either have to send a new boat out, or they have to go back and then grab more people and a larger boat out. We don't know exactly the cost, like the timing, how many people, how often they do it, but that's the issue that they are facing right now.
Thank you.
Yep.
From your interviews, what's something surprising that you learned that was really key to the direction that you've taken? Maybe a pivot you might have done, but something that you didn't know coming in that was very key to the direction that you've chosen.
Yeah, so let me go to the slide, the technology slide. Sorry, let me just, so yeah, right here. So I guess we didn't know that they already have technologies helping them. They have, I guess, 2 different types of technology. First of all, they have like cameras pointing at beaches, but they do have, I didn't know saw in the air would be a problem because the saw in the air will go into the machine and then damage all of those metals. That's the problem that they're facing. Another thing is we didn't know there are a lot of robots out there already. So our first thing is we're trying to create underwater robot, so the full system. But after all the interviews, talking to different technology groups, we realized that we could just create a software and then just combine them together, partner with them to achieve this technology, to lower down our costs and also achieve the result that we wanted.
Do we have time? Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, love your solution, love that you're using technology. Can you help me understand, does this type of technology already exist and you're just figuring out a way to repurpose it, or do you have to create or invent something new?
So with our current research, we don't see there's computer vision and AI that's scanning on the road to mark for like cars and everything, but we don't see a current solution that's trying to solve the fishing net or ocean trash problem.